There's a specific kind of silence that follows the words, "I'm sorry, your card has been declined." It's a cold public silence that hangs in the air between you and the cashier. In that moment, the contents of your bank account become a public verdict on your worth, and you feel the weight of every eye in the line behind you. We have all felt a version of this chill, the unpaid invoice that hollows out your stomach, the quiet dread of opening a banking app after a long month. Why does our relationship with money feel like a battle we are perpetually losing, even when we are working harder than ever? It is because we have been sold a cultural lie about wealth, a map that leads not to a destination, but to a treadmill. You see it every time you scroll through your phone. The curated lives, the effortless travel, the symbols of success that seem to multiply for everyone but you. A friend buys a new car, a colleague moves to a bigger house, and a quiet, corrosive voice inside you whispers that you are falling behind. You are late. This feeling is not an accident. It is the engine of a culture designed to keep us perpetually dissatisfied. It creates an internal pressure cooker of anxiety, comparison, and the frantic belief that our security and happiness are just one more purchase, one more promotion, one more zero in our account, away. But this is the great deception. The pursuit of more is not the path to freedom. It is the architecture of our cage. The invisible promise whispered to us from birth is that accumulation leads to happiness. More money, more possessions, more status. We are told these are the ingredients for a good life. But let us speak of the invisible consequence, the psychological cost that is never listed on the price tag. It is the low-grade anxiety of performance, the exhaustion of maintaining an image, the chronic, gnawing fear of scarcity even amidst plenty. It is the shame that follows an impulsive purchase meant to numb a deeper unease. It is the weariness of chasing financial goals that, once reached, feel strangely hollow. We have been taught to measure our net worth in currency, but we have neglected to measure the debt incurred by our souls in the process. This is not a new problem. 2,000 years ago, the Stoic philosopher Epictetus observed the same human condition. He stated with piercing clarity, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." This is the key that unlocks the cage. True wealth is not the accumulation of more, but the disciplined elimination of desire. It is an internal fortress built on the foundation of sufficiency. It is a radical redefinition of prosperity, moving the goalposts from external validation to internal control. This is where our journey begins, not by learning how to get more, but by understanding how to need less, so we can finally direct our resources toward what truly matters. Consider the young professional who receives a significant raise. The cultural script demands an immediate lifestyle upgrade, a more expensive apartment in a better neighborhood, a newer car, a wardrobe to match. The initial thrill of this expansion is real, but it is fleeting. It is soon replaced by a new, higher baseline of anxiety. The larger rent payment, the bigger car loan, the pressure to maintain this new level of consumption. She is earning more, yet her freedom has not increased. In fact, it has shrunk. She is no wealthier in the currency of time and options. She has simply purchased a more luxurious cage, finding herself more trapped than before. Our first task, then, is to learn the language of our own freedom. Take a moment not to calculate a number, but to define a state of being. What does financial freedom actually look like for you, in terms of your time, your options, your peace of mind? If you had an abundance of these, what would you do with your days? This question shifts the focus from an external target, a dollar amount, to an internal reality. For the next week, before any non-essential purchase, pause and ask a simple question. Is this purchase a true contribution to the life I want to build? Or is it merely a fleeting desire, a distraction from my real goals? The clarity that emerges from this simple practice is the first step toward reclaiming your power. Once we have redefined our destination, we must forge the tool to get there, the Stoic mind. Epictetus gave us the most powerful financial instrument ever created, the dichotomy of control. He taught that some things are within our power, and others are not. The global economy, the stock market's daily tantrums, the rate of inflation, these are like the weather, vast and uncontrollable forces. Wasting our precious mental energy on them is the source of all our financial anxiety. We become leaves in the wind, tossed about by every headline and every market dip. Conversely, our savings rate, our spending habits, our response to a market downturn, our commitment to our financial plan, these are entirely within our power. This is our sphere of influence. Imagine two colleagues watching the market plummet. One is glued to the screen, his stomach in knots, his mind racing. He is a puppet, his emotions pulled by strings he cannot see. Overwhelmed by fear, he sells his investments at a loss, crystallizing a temporary downturn into a permanent defeat. He tried to control the storm, and in doing so, he sank his own ship. The other colleague acknowledges the storm. She cannot control the waves, but she is the captain of her vessel. She turns away from the noise of the news and turns inward, toward her own systems. She reviews her budget, not with panic, but with purpose. Seeing that assets are now on sale, she focuses on what she can control. She automates an additional small investment, sticking to her long-term plan. She has anchored herself in reason, not reactivity. This is the difference between being a financial victim and a financial architect. It is the calm, unshakable power that comes from focusing only on your own actions. To cultivate this power, we must practice a form of voluntary discomfort. We must train our desire muscle to be resilient against the constant temptations of consumer culture. Seneca taught that by periodically and intentionally living with less, we prove to ourselves that our happiness is not dependent on material things. We build an immunity to deprivation. This is not about self-punishment. It is about self-liberation. It is the discovery that our internal well-being is not for sale and cannot be repossessed. Try this for yourself. Choose a single weekend for a no-spend challenge. The initial moments will feel restless, even boring. You will feel the pull of your habits, the urge to consume, to scroll, to buy. But then, something remarkable happens. You rediscover the deep, simple pleasures that have been buried under layers of consumption. A long walk in a park, the quiet immersion of a library book, a deep and uninterrupted conversation with a friend. You end the weekend not feeling deprived, but feeling fuller, richer. You have not only saved money, you have gained the profound knowledge that you need less than you thought to be happy. This internal strength must be supported by an external environment designed for success. A wise person does not rely on finite willpower to resist temptation day after day. Instead, they become an architect of their own surroundings, designing a life where the right financial choice is the easiest choice. Your digital environment is a battlefield, engineered by the world's brightest minds to capture your attention and your money. It's time to build your own fortress. Unsubscribe from the marketing emails that clog your inbox with manufactured desire. Move your shopping apps off your phone's home screen, creating friction between impulse and action. Block the websites that are your biggest triggers for mindless spending. Automate everything that supports your true goals. Set up an automatic transfer to your savings and investment accounts for the day after you get paid. Automate your bill payments to eliminate stress and late fees. This is not about restriction. It is about liberation from 1,000 trivial decisions that drain your energy and lead you astray. You're creating a system where your wealth grows by default in the background while you focus on living your life. With our fortress built and our mind focused, we must prepare for the inevitable storms. The Stoics practiced something called premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. This is not pessimism. It is a profound form of resilience training. By calmly and rationally contemplating potential financial setbacks, we rob them of their power to cause panic. As Seneca warned, what is quite unlooked for is more crushing in its effect. And by looking at these potential disasters ahead of time, we can prepare for them without fear. Ask yourself, if I lost my primary source of income tomorrow, what are the first 3 concrete steps I would take? Write them down. This act of planning transforms vague anxiety into a clear procedure. Calculate the exact amount you need for a 3 to 6 month emergency fund and make it your highest priority. This is not about expecting the worst. It is about building the confidence that you can handle the worst. It is the deep, abiding calm that comes from knowing you have a plan, that you are prepared. You are no longer afraid of the dark because you have already imagined it and have a map to navigate it. Now we must introduce the ultimate measure of value, the one resource that is truly non-renewable, your time. Every price tag you see is incomplete. It only shows the monetary cost. The true cost of any item is the amount of your life you had to exchange for it. That $100 gadget is not just $100. It is the 5 hours of your one and only life that you traded to earn that money. Hours you spent away from your family, your passions, your peace. When you begin to see the world through this lens, your decisions change profoundly. You are no longer just spending money. You are spending your life energy. Is that expensive dinner out worth 3 hours of your finite existence? Is that subscription you barely use worth 30 minutes of your life every single month? This calculation is the most powerful filter for your spending. It forces you to confront the true trade-off you are making. You will start to fiercely protect your time, your life energy, saying no with ease to the things that are simply not worth a portion of your life. This new perspective allows for a radically simpler approach to budgeting. Forget complex spreadsheets and tracking every last penny. That is a recipe for fatigue and failure. A minimalist budget focuses only on the big wins, the big three: housing, transportation, and food. If you can get these three largest expenses under control, you have won the majority of the battle. The goal is not obsessive micromanagement, it is conscious automation. Embrace the principle of pay yourself first. The moment your paycheck arrives, a predetermined amount is automatically transferred to your savings and investments. It is gone before you can even think about spending it. The money that remains is yours to manage without guilt or stress. This simple system eliminates the daily anxiety of budgeting. It ensures that you are always building your future, effortlessly and automatically. You are treating your future self as your most important creditor, paying them first, always. This is not a budget of restriction, but a system of liberation. As your system works for you, you must learn to cultivate indifference as a financial superpower. The Stoics taught that things like wealth, health, and reputation are preferred indifference. They are preferable to have, but they do not define your virtue or your fundamental happiness. Your character is the only true good. By practicing a healthy detachment from outcomes you can't control, like daily market swings or the financial lives of others, you can make rational, long-term decisions. Think of the intense FOMO, the fear of missing out, that arises during a market frenzy over a hot stock. The noise is deafening. The temptation to abandon your strategy and chase the hype is immense. This is where your practice of indifference becomes your shield. Instead of acting on impulse, you return to your written financial plan, your personal investment policy. You remember your own goals, your own timeline. You choose to do nothing, which is often the most intelligent and difficult action of all. You are choosing your own peace of mind over the madness of the crowd. The antidote to the poison of comparison and the endless desire for more is the active practice of gratitude. The hunger for what we don't have is a bottomless pit, designed by culture to keep us consuming. The only way to fill it is from within. Gratitude is not a passive feeling, it is an active skill. Like money, it compounds over time, generating a feeling of immense richness that no bank account can provide. Epictetus taught, "He is a wise man who does not grieve for the things which he has not, but rejoices for those which he has." When you feel the ache of envy or the sting of dissatisfaction, begin a simple inventory. Write down one thing you own that you are truly grateful for and why. Think of a conversation with a loved one, the health of your body, a beautiful sunset you witnessed. These are the assets that form your true wealth. This practice slowly rewires your brain, shifting your focus from a sense of scarcity to a deep and abiding sense of abundance. You realize with liberating clarity that you already possess most of what is required for a joyful life. This journey of building internal and external wealth finds its ultimate meaning when it is connected to a purpose larger than ourselves. The Stoics taught the concept of oikeiosis, the understanding that we are all interconnected, all part of a larger whole. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, "What's bad for the hive is bad for the bee." The ultimate purpose of building financial resilience is not just to insulate ourselves in comfort, but to gain the capacity, the resources, the time, the energy, to contribute to the well-being of our hive. Once you have established a foundation of stability, you can begin to use your resources for the common good. This doesn't require immense wealth. It can be a small, recurring donation to a cause you believe in. It can be using your freed-up time to volunteer your skills. The act of giving provides a deeper, more lasting sense of fulfillment than any purchase ever could. It completes the circle, transforming your personal financial journey into an engine for positive change in the world. Your wealth becomes a tool not just for your freedom, but for the betterment of others. To integrate these principles into the fabric of your life, a simple daily practice is required. Philosophy is not something to be read, it is something to be lived. Seneca described his own evening routine. "I examine my entire day and go back over what I've done and said, hiding nothing from myself, passing nothing by." We can adapt this for our financial lives. At the end of each day, take just 2 minutes to reflect with a journal. Ask yourself, Did my spending today align with my deepest values? Did I act with reason or with impulse? Did I focus on what I can control? This brief ritual is not about guilt or judgment. It is a compassionate course correction. It is how you become your own teacher. It prevents small, unexamined errors from compounding into large destructive habits. By holding yourself accountable to your own philosophy each day, you ensure that you are not just intellectually understanding these ideas, but actively embodying them. You are consciously and consistently closing the gap between the person you want to be and the person your actions show you to be. Finally, we must summon the most powerful motivator of all, the awareness of our own mortality. Memento mori. Remember, you will die. This is not a morbid thought. It is the ultimate tool for clarification. Marcus Aurelius urged himself, "You could leave life right now." Let that determine what you do and say and think. When you hold this truth in your mind, the frantic scramble for more status, for more possessions, is revealed in its full absurdity. Think of clearing out the home of a loved one who has passed. You are confronted by a lifetime of accumulations, cherished objects, expensive purchases, things once imbued with immense importance that are now just things. Your legacy will not be your bank balance or the car you drove. It will be the life you lived, the freedom you cultivated, the love you shared, and the good you did. This realization is not a call to despair, but a call to urgent, purposeful action. It frees you from the attachment to money and inspires you to use your resources in service of a life of meaning. You began this journey feeling trapped by a definition of wealth that left you exhausted and anxious. You now possess a timeless philosophy to build a different kind of prosperity, one measured not by what you have, but by how little you need to be happy. By redefining wealth as freedom, focusing on what you control, mastering your desires, and building a life of conscious intention, you are not just implementing a financial strategy, you are forging a new way of being. The goal was never just to build a fortune, but to finally buy back your life. So what will you do with this one precious life, now that you know its true worth?